So when I come back to awareness, I'm in this void, just this very dark place, like so dark that you can't see anything, and I can't move. And so I don't know if I'm like in a space the size of a closet or a Walmart. I don't, there's no way to know. And I'm really claustrophobic. So this not being able to move was causing me to be very anxious. And I start working up and I get panicky, and then I would go back into the deep sleep. And this would just happen over and over and over again. And I was trying to figure out where I was, and time there is very different than time here. Time here is just very linear, chronological. There, everything happens at once, somehow without it being chaotic. I can't even explain how it works. But I always tell people, if I had to equivocate, time there versus here, that time in the void felt like what 10 years feels like here. And I mean, like literally what it feels like, not, I'm not being figurative. It really felt like that. And so I'm starting to puzzle, I'm thinking, maybe I never lived that life. Maybe I made it up so I'd have something to think about here. Perhaps this has always been my existence, or maybe I had that existence and I'm lost and nobody knows where I am or how to get to me. And I'm just going to be here forever. And if you can imagine, that would just be terrifying and it felt like the ultimate of being alone. Like you're never really alone here. There's always somebody nearby. This was like alone, and I couldn't get to somebody if I wanted to. And it was just desperate. The whole situation felt very desperate. And so I was trying to think, had I done something? Had I made some mistake? Had I been sentenced to this? I just couldn't sort it out. So I go back into the deep sleep. And at one point I wake up and it occurs to me, instead of trying to, like walk or move my whole body, maybe I could just lean a little bit. And so I lean forward, and as I lean forward, there's forward motion. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Holy cow, I can move.
It felt like eternity. I began to question, okay, there's a space around me. Where am I? Like, what is this? And I'm in this silent void. There's no sound. There's no light. There's no sensation. I didn't think to look up or down or all around. I just noticed it's black void space everywhere. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of boring. Like there should be light here or something. And all of a sudden, there would be a spark of light that would shoot across my vision. And like, that was interesting. And like, I wonder if I can do that again. And I began manifesting these like fireworks show kind of thing, like where I was literally manifesting my own reality. And as I'm going through this garden, I was thinking, oh, this is so beautiful. Everything's alive and for me. And it's indescribable. And I was manifesting things. I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if there were, butterflies or fairies or something beautiful flying around? And suddenly there were these creatures that, again, are not of this earthly world flying around me. And they were just indescribably so beautiful.
I got a little apprehensive because I didn't know where I was going. I was just moving and moving and moving rapidly. And, when you go into a forest and go for a walk, you take a wrong turn, you start walking, you think you're kind of lost. And then you get a little thought, you're like, maybe I should turn around and go back before I get really lost. Well, that's kind of what it felt like because I didn't know where I was going. And so I thought in my mind, it's like, I should probably somehow stop and maybe get back to where I was. And as soon as I thought that, within an instant of a second, I was back in those golden clouds again.
So here I am in this very, very, very bright place. I guess some people call it heaven. It was just the place I found myself in. And I'm thinking, how do I get around in this environment? And no sooner I think it, I'm moving.
So I literally just said consciously, what is that light? What is that pinpoint? What is that up there? And like zoom, I was like right there.
The hospital door was over here. And I was looking out of it, wondering when my son would arrive. Where was Alec? When was he going to come? And that's the last thing I remember. I never said, I'll go back to life, or I'll go back with you guys. I never, but somehow they knew where my focus was, where my concern was. And he's the reason that I came back.
A lot of times when a guest remembers a family member, especially a child, they almost immediately just pop back in their bodies.
I noticed that there is like far in distance, there were like little tiny particles of light, just little lights somewhere in that corner. And because there was nothing else there to look at or to focus on, but those lights, they took my attention. And I tried to focus on those lights. And as I was focusing on them, I noticed that they started coming out of that darkness, coming closer to me. And when I don't focus on them, they are just seem like little particles somewhere far in that distant darkness. But my focus on those particles brings them out of that darkness.
I just kind of looked around, and I was I thought in my head, well, my God, I wonder what happens if you're a bad person. And all hell broke loose, quite literally.
There was people who believed in Jesus and Buddha and stuff like that, and they may see him, and for that entity or that spirit, they believe who they are. That's what they believe. So they exist. And also because people believe in that, you can create entities somehow that exists because of your belief in that system, because you're such a god that whatever you think on the other side, you can create.
Thoughts become things. Focus and thought. It's like focus, and our minds are so strong. And it's like an instant manifestation. It's like thoughts turn to things instantly. Physics don't play a part over there. Here, yes, we're hindered. We're, physical. But no, it's very easy. It's thoughts turn to things. Instant manifestation of thought.
We have so much say in where we go and what we do. That freedom that I felt was really, truly an actual aspect of being back in the spirit realm. We have a great deal of choice on what we do and who we are and where we'll go. I found myself thinking about my, at the time, 3 small children. And my thoughts were how I would miss not seeing them grow up, not seeing them go through life, find companions, be married, go to school, do the wonderful things that we have the opportunity to do on the planet. And as I thought about that, the choice was made, and I found myself shot back across the dimension and back into my body.